Hey everyone, I'm Stephen Christie, and today I have an episode that's a special one to me, mostly on the personal side and professional side. I have the incredible honor of interviewing someone I deeply respect, not just for his extraordinary achievements, but for the journey he's taken to get there. This is Mohan Ananda. Mohan's story is one of perseverance, brilliance, and bold vision. He came to the United States from India with big dreams, built a life and contribute back to the American dream from working as a NASA scientist. Was a successful attorney, which is great, all these different things. But he founded one of the most innovative companies of his time, stamps.com, which we're going to talk about. He's a man who wears, and I've learned, many different hats. If you are an engineer, you're a lawyer, you're an investor, and throughout all, he stays grounded on values that resonates that so many of us have. He has the hard work, he has a family and contribution that I think most of us go, wow, how do you achieve all these areas? Because those are big areas in everybody's life. So I've enjoyed many conversations with Mohan, and it's a real privilege to have his conversation, not just to hear about his milestones, but to explore the mindset behind them. So whether you're building a business, you're chasing a goal, or just looking for a powerful life wisdom, this episode is going to be for you. Please help me welcome the true innovator of inspiration, Mohan Ananda. Hi, Mohan.
Right. Thanks a lot for such kind words.
Look, I can spend a whole hour introducing you because you have all these different things. It's having dinners and lunches and just exploring life with you has been one of my greatest things having you as a friend. And I know we've had chances to work together, but your friendship and the way you contribute to others and your thought process, and we talked about this, how you actually compartmentalize certain things and actually express things. It's refreshing because men of your stature and a lot of things you've gone through, you're such a contributor back. You're such a ability to give back to many different things, and I don't even know how you have the time to do that. And I'm sure Raji wonders the same thing. So,
Thanks again. Thanks again. I mean, I just want to add to, I come from a very remote village in India with no electricity when I was growing up. So that transformation from there to where we are today is certainly an interesting journey, which I've reflected in my, one of my books, Autobiography of an Immigrant, which kind of tells what kind of stages I went through and how it has changed me as a much better person. So I can give you kind of a background if you want to, or you can navigate me
well,
how you want to take.
let's go there because that's where I start, right? You were born in India and came to the US to pursue education and opportunity, as you always told me. Now, can you take us back to that moment? What was going through your mind as a young immigrant coming to the US?
Okay, certainly. Before that, meaning before coming to America, I was a student in engineering, and of course, generally at that time, we are talking about. I came to America in 1967, probably before you were born.
No, I wish, but no.
No, what I'm saying is this is many years ago,
Yes.
and in India, especially India, most well-to-do people go to England because of the British relationship with India. U.S. very few because U.S. won't allow you to come. There was no until actually 1964 or 65 they created some kind of a easy opportunity for people of India to come. But prior to that, very few came. But anyway, I was not really looking forward to coming to US or anything because the parents don't want people to go far because
Right.
it's very far from home.
Right.
And we were a kind of a middle class, upper middle class family, so we were comfortable. Everything was fine. So, however, I was extremely interested in uh, studying, interested in knowing things, solving like astrophysics problem or universe, how the universe came into being. I'm something weird but very abstract. That was my kind of. So I one of the courses I was taking, I fluid mechanics, and there is a book I used in my college, written by two professors from Caltech, uh, Roscoe. And, the book is very well known book. I liked that book so much. I said maybe I should go to America. So I applied for number of schools, and also in those days you can't really apply to many schools because every schools you apply, you have a, certain fee has to be paid, and the dollar to Indian currency, you can't just use it. You have to go through the Reserve Bank of India to get authorization to convert into. I mean, it's a pain in the neck. I'm not kidding. It's really. In addition to that, to know about schools, there is no internet. Nobody knows. You have to go to the library, find about it, and do research. It takes a lot of hard work. So what I did, I kind of did a little easier job. I picked top 5 schools, four in US and one in Canada, and said, okay, because of the fee, application fee has to be limited. But then I picked it like, of course, this school, Caltech, which is this professors both teach at Caltech. It's in Pasadena, Stanford, MIT, and Harvard, and at McGill in Canada. So 5 schools I applied. So I mean, the probability of getting admission to any one of the schools is practically zero. But I did. But one of the things I did, I was a good student, by the way. My professor, my principal, my school principal was actually studied at MIT. So he's a MIT graduate and became, the college professor and a principal. So he wrote a recommendation letter. The recommendation letter is very important in America. I did not know that. But he wrote I found out later, I did not know when he wrote it. He must have written, I mean, I saw it, unbelievably good letter. That got me into all 5 schools.
Wow.
Got into, in fact, the most scholarship payment, I got it from McGill, Canada. It was like, this is in 1967. So it's about $250 per month. That's pretty high those days, it seems. But the lowest from was Caltech is $45 or something, a really small number, but I did get a scholarship because without scholarship, you cannot come because there is no money. You can only take $8 out of India those days. The
So,
maximum you
well,
can
think
take
about that
is
process you're saying, though. Think about
no,
that.
that's very,
Your
yeah, it's very
research first had to be completely different than anything can happen today. So no one can even recognize 1967 research. Okay.
exactly.
Number
Very,
two, they don't recognize the idea of how to get yourself structured, adapted, and figuring out the US system for education, which is pretty interesting in itself. But on another level, you know, you had family in a different country. What role did the family and culture values play in shaping your ambition and resilience in a new country like the US when you came?
and in addition to that, there is no internet. There is nothing. You cannot. There is no phone even. In order to talk to somebody on the phone, you have to do what called trunk call booking. You have to book the call, and it may take a day or two to get the call, and sometimes it go get connected. So the only real communication is writing letter. But it took me generally 15 days to go from here to India, and then takes another 15 days to get the letter from India back to you. So it's
Wow.
practically it's non-communication. And I didn't have when I came. Of course, I got admission. I came and all, but that's a real story. But there's no real person I know of. I mean, we made friends, but there is nothing to you can depend on. So you are basically on your own. And I mean, it's certainly much better than people coming, from Mexico here today with all the difficulties. That's different. But at least I had a good institution and a good place to,
Hmm.
basically learn knowledge. And so even also financially, I was okay. They were providing me support. So it wasn't that bad, but it was bad.
But you got to think though too. You're in a new country. I mean,
Excellent.
and
Yeah.
we're going back 60 some odd years ago, Mohan, when you're actually coming to a new country, not really understanding expectations, not really understanding um, how to build a life as an immigrant and build a career in the U.S. I mean, you're coming really in a place of hope and opportunity. And that's where you decided at some time, and again, I don't know if your family was involved in your culture, to make this step and move. Instead of going to England, you moved toward the US, which again, in the US, we're very happy because of some of the things that you've done to create, success for others and help ambition for others to make their lives a lot easier, some of the things you innovated. But how did you feel? Was it some of your family culture that drove you that way? What was your resilience? What was your way of, as an immigrant, how did you build that career and overcome all these challenges you're talking about?
Challenges are, were extremely, amazingly high. I mean, the reason is you really don't know the place. You're learning. And also those days, for example, when I came to Caltech, among all the students, there were only like 4 or 5 students from India. So it's not like now. Now, of course, you will have, if you go to like any of the universities, there are so many students of Indian origin, so no issue. But those days, so you don't really know, but you're learning. You're trying to understand, kind of the culture. And the only important thing to me, I was really interested in the knowing the unknown or learning about the unknown. So that was how I started the process. My parents were not very happy. I was so far away and with, not close to them. But I survived in the sense I became, the one thing is when you are under a lot of stress and challenges, I think there is an opportunity to be more innovative
Right,
because yeah,
right,
it's a same thing. When you fail, there is a failure. The failure is an opportunity to learn. So I took all those. For example, let me give you. After even I graduated, I could not get a job. The reason is, or could not get a job means the a lot of school placement. They come to university, and most people get 5 or 10 job offers right from the campus. But I was in aeronautics and astrophysics. But mine, the only type of jobs I would get is in the defense department. And all these defense companies will come and talk to me. But then, as soon as they find out I'm not an American citizen, I'm a student visa from India, I don't even qualify for an interview. So they will
interesting.
say, oh, we are, sorry. So I was really kind of in distress how to find a job. I mean,
Right.
even though I'm coming from one of the most prestigious universities in the world, but it is difficult. So I said, oh, what should I do? How do I get a job? But I became a little bit creative, I'll tell you. So I said, maybe what I should do, I should find out, because I don't know a lot of, American citizens in per se, but there may be some Indians who are from India in some employment. And if I can find out, and they may be able to help me. So I started, how do I find it? So I went through those days, white pages and yellow pages. White pages, there is in Los Angeles, there is a lot of white pages. I mean, because it's not one book, it's several books. So I just went through randomly just the names of the people, look Indian names. So I couldn't find them. It took me a hard, but finally I found a Dr. Rao. Rao has to be from India. So I waited until evening, nighttime, to call him at the white page. It's home. So I call home number and I talked to Dr. Rao. It so happened he took the phone. He said, "Oh, that was nice." Of course, the pleasantry and all. Then I told him, I'm a big guy. I'm studying here. I'm looking for a job. Maybe he said, "That sounds good, but I am a biophysicist. I'm a biochemistry person. I can't. I have no knowledge about anything in your field." Then he said, "You know what? I know a guy. His name is Murthy, Dr. Krishnamurthy. Maybe you should call him. Call him at his office and see whether you can, get in touch with him." So I said, "Oh, thank you very much." And so I got his number. So next day, I waited until the office time. I called his. Here at those days, when you called somebody at the office, the secretary in the front would not let you go through because they will ask you, "What is it? You have an appointment? Did you?" All those nonsense come. And I said, "I don't have anything like that, but this is something personal. So I have some personal relationship. So that's why I'm calling." Then she thought about a few minutes and said, "Okay." So she let the call go to Dr. Murthy. So he took the call. And I said, "Dr. Rao recommended your name," because which is true. And so I said, "Such and such, all these details." Then he said, "I am a PhD in statistics. I do a lot of work in that area. I don't do anything about space. So I don't know whether it will work. However, I have a colleague who does something like what you're doing, and his name is Dr. Jim Dyer. Okay, I don't know whether he's here. So let me walk to his office and see. So he went to Jim's office, and it so happened Jim was there. So he came back to Krish's office. Krish Murthy is the. So, and the reason I'm saying it is actually a story, not a story in the reality. So he came, and I told again, the whole repeated my background. And he said, "That's very interesting." But then I did tell him, I had, because he said he's working with the North American Defense Command in Colorado Springs, but I said, "Oh, that's a defense. I had a problem. I'm not an American citizen. The clearance will be a problem." Because I want to be honest with him, because I couldn't get any job at work, school. So he said, "Don't worry. When can you come? We can take care of all those things." I said, "I can come today or whenever you want because I have nothing else to do." So he said, "Okay, come on over." So I went to, this is in Santa Monica. Yeah, I was in Pasadena. This office is in Santa Monica, which is part of a RAND Corporation's division called System Development Corporation. It's a think tank for the Air Force. So I went there and we talked maybe for half an hour. "Mohan, can you start? When can you start?" That's how I found my first job,
Wow.
working for one of the most interesting places in the world, which is the North American Defense Command, which now they're building what is called the Golden Dome,
All right.
SDR,
Right.
all the big stuff. The reason is that that's the path, and the only way I got it through connections, and I always, in fact, in one day, once I started, then the phone called, I got the job. So,
So,
and so that's
you,
my
your perseverance is different than most people, right? I mean, you came in a discussion in a mindset of what's my options,
exactly.
right? You weren't going to sit around and wait. Your
You have to
options
be
were
creative.
to
You have
find
to
your
be
space.
Exactly, you have to be creative. This happened, and I told my wife, she's a physician. She had the similar because she came, she didn't want to work. I mean, we had a little baby, and she said, I don't need to worry about it. But we are comfortable. But I said because she's a that qualified person should do. But she said, "Oh, I don't know how to go look for a job." And don't worry, I told her, you know you have to go to there are two institutions, good medical institutions in LA. Either it is UCLA or USC. And call the chairman of any department you like. Only talk to chairman, not anybody else. call them, and I told the same story. If they won't let you in, I mean, let them talk to him, but they'll say it's some personal thing, then some or other they will. So similarly, she called the USC a department. Actually, it's a pharmacology department because she likes pharmacology at the time. But the person is a in fact, he should have got a Nobel Prize. He invented something really interesting, by the way. But to make the story short, she called and she used the same technique. She got the job the same day, practically next day she started working. So I tell these
Yeah.
things to people. You develop a mindset and you go after in a very professional way, you can accomplish what you want to.
Well, you're right. You're connected, right? And that's just funny in my business. And I tell all my team and all the different people I coach, is like, you're a connector. You're
Exactly.
connecting people from here to there, and you're part of the middle of the connection, you know? But, something I find really interesting about you, right, is what just made you decide to be an expert in engineering, law, and business? I mean, what was that? What motivated you to have all three of these diverse academics taken care of?
Okay, that is a. I was really interested in, uh, as I told you, astrophysics or something,
Yeah,
kind of a dream, solving problems people haven't solved. Because I worked with Richard Feynman, one of the most well-respected, brilliant persons of our time. He's a Nobel Prize winner in physics. So I got some training from him, and he gave me a lot of advice, which I cherish and value all the time. The reason I'm saying is, so I kind of then that's the reason I went into from the North American Defense Command job to JPL, which is a NASA center. And I started working on the interplanetary navigation, something very esoteric, but it's very innovative,
right.
all pioneering, first time. It's not now. Now people do the same thing, but we were doing for the first time. But then I was recruited by Department of Defense to work on something really, really innovative on global positioning system,
Right.
GPS. So I
GPS.
consider myself as an architect of GPS, and in fact, sometime in the 80, 81, 82, I gave a kind of an interview with a newspaper, and it's recorded saying, I said, in future, everybody will have GPS in their palm. I mean, this is before iPhone, before anything, because I knew this is going to happen.
Right.
And now everybody has in their phone GPS. Without GPS, people don't go. But anyway,
You can't go anywhere without GPS anymore.
exactly.
But
But
in every country.
yeah, everywhere, the whole
Yeah.
world. Yeah.
It's
But
it's,
then
it's
the
amazing.
reason I transformed, I was traveling a lot. I was in fact, I was like a liaison between the United States and the NATO countries for their GPS. GPS is a weapon system.
Right.
So they have to adopt to all the. So I was mostly in Europe, between capitals, various. So my wife being a physician, and we have two little boys, it was very, very tough for her to take care of the children, take care of her busy practice. She's a neurologist, so it's a heavy practice. And I'm somewhere in Europe, so I am not there. I mean, we had some help,
Right.
true,
Right.
but that bothered quite a bit. So I decided to quit my that job, but then I have to do something else. So I said maybe I should do, because I saw in United States all successful people, or most of the successful people, are lawyers. So I said maybe if you can't fight them, join them. So I went to law school and
Okay,
became.
Mohan, stop for 1 second. How
Yes,
old were you? Because
yes,
this is big.
yes,
You're like, okay, I'm gonna pivot again.
yes.
I have reasons.
I came when I was 22 here.
Okay.
Uh,
But
uh,
how were when you decided to, okay,
yeah,
I'm gonna go to law school?
I finished my PhD when I was 25. And then I worked for, say, about, 15 years, or 25 to, I mean, not 40 yet, 38 or something. I went to law school. So I then I finished law by like 40 or 41, and then I became a real lawyer. I mean, lawyer meaning I was still working with tech companies or startups scaling up, technology companies, because my background is in engineering and technology. And so I started not only corporate governance, I also helped for intellectual property, IP work. So creating all the IP, how to get the proper, it's IP is an asset. So I started working on those. Then also I started raising capital for people and also doing mergers and acquisitions. So everything business related I was doing for others. Then I
Interesting.
started thinking, instead of doing for others, maybe I should do it for myself. So
Right.
I transitioned from my second stage. The first is science, law, and then entrepreneurship. That the third stage is the entrepreneurship, in a way that I started forming company for my own or people who associated with me. That's the third journey which I am still on, and that probably happened.
Their journey's
uh,
been like huge.
it's
Okay.
it's
Because when
a
you switched over that third journey,
that's
people don't
where
even know how to switch that. Okay. So you just went through something in your mind that was so simple. Like you thought, okay, this is what I do next,
right.
right?
I
People
started
can't get off
talking.
the first cycle. They can't get off that first cycle because they feel concerned, worried. What if it doesn't work? But you're like, okay, this is my next phase. Went through your next phase. You found yourself helping others, and this is why I call you a contributor to the world. You found yourself helping others. You went into that thought process of what you're doing, which is this is one of the things when you and I were having dinner one night. I'm just looking at you going, it's so simple in your mind. And then most people, they don't have your mind because you can take this and go, how do I shift and pivot in order to achieve something different that others won't do?
Yeah, but I do have some support because I teach these things. I do a lot of teaching.
Yeah.
I give a lot of lectures. In fact, I've lectured at Oxford, NYU, UCLA. I mean, big schools. I give lectures on this topic. One of the things, the problem is many people have, it's not easy to change because of your economic conditions, because financial, you have a wife and children, you have a responsibility to maintain certain lifestyle, and if you change, you're going into an unknown area,
Yeah.
and if things don't work out, it would be really, really difficult. So in my case, I'm lucky enough, privileged, because my wife is a physician, and she even, it's a lot of hard work, but uh, we had a economically not that bad, so there is a support. But for her, that economic support, I could not have taken the risk, because any business activity, when I practicing law and I had income and things like that, when I transitioned to entrepreneurship, now I am putting my own money into various kind of whatever
Right.
companies I were in. So that takes so that transition. So I tell people, when you really do, you can do it right after your college, before you have encumbrances or responsibilities, then it's okay, because you have parents or somebody to help you out. So that's a good thing. Then as you have your own expenses, your own family, you have to have some savings, and you need to put some budget before you make the transition into entrepreneurship, because capital is not that easy to get. You
Right.
have to self-fund it. So I mean, anyway, those are very important. But in my case, I was lucky enough to do without that problem, or without that at least. But the many I have many failures,
Right.
some successes. So, but that's a failure is not really a failure. Failure. It is an opportunity to learn.
Right.
So I learned a lot.
Opportunity for growth. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the success has been phenomenal in
Uh,
many ways.
uh,
So that has been
Let's
helping.
shift for you. I know so much about things that you've done, and it's so cool because you only have so much time to get all that information you have. But no matter what you do, and no matter what decision you make to pivot and do something else, it has to win or all money's gone, or it's empty, right? And that's what biggest fear is. I mean, you turn around and be an innovator, you either have to capture money from people who believe in you, and you also got to contribute yourself into it and put your time and effort, and so much time means money that you're want to do something big. Now, let's talk about stamps.com. How did you come up with the idea of bringing postage online at a time when it wasn't even heard of?
Yeah, that's an interesting story. The way it happened, because I was being again technology person, and I helped people to create a lot of patents. So I started saying, okay, I'll create patent for myself. So that's how I started with my original patent. In fact, I have four of them in the series, which I got uh, in the e-commerce world. In fact, every e-commerce you hear today, the fundamental technology I came up with 1960, 1992, I applied for that patent. So this is just after internet just coming, very the early stage. I worked on that to some extent at they call DARPA, Defense, Advanced Research Project. DARPA created a closed network for the internet, and so I'm very knowledgeable. In fact, I worked on AI, which we can talk about later. So that area, so I was involved. So I used that by training and knowledge, and said, this is the way to really do commerce. Meaning anything you do. So the e-commerce, that concept is came out of my original patent. Okay.
Wow.
So this I tried to market it. Of course, when you have a patent that does, I mean, I got the patent in 96. So 92, I applied. Took 4 years because it's a very innovative patent. It always takes time when something new happens. I mean, everything is new, but it is really, really new. People haven't. So, but anyway, I got the patent, and but now I have to market the patent. So I was talking to different people, including I went to Las Vegas. There was a big digital every year they have this conference of digital convention. So I went there and tried to talk to, because a lot of big people come there. So I went and talked to one of the guys, is Microsoft at the time chief technology of. He reports directly to Bill Gates. I mean, very nice person. So young man, and I talked to him, and I was happy. He heard everything to me. He said, "That's very interesting. That's fine, but Mohan, we don't need you. We can do the same thing. we can do, but of course, we'll protect your pattern, but we won't need to do, because we can make enough changes and get this thing done. So why should I need you?" This was the response I got. So I was really, really upset, and
Yeah.
felt very bad, came back. And but then what happened was, really the cause of this stamps journey is because of my son, Ajay. Ajay was a medical student at the time at UC San Diego. He's a Brown graduate, went to UC San Diego. He's a very smart guy.
Very.
Of course, he went to one of the best schools here. At that time, he went, it's called Harvard High School. Now it is Harvard Westlake. They brought girls also into. My younger son went to. Then, in fact, he was one of the first student of that combined school. But anyway, that's irrelevant. But I want to give you. So he's a smart boy. So he and one of his classmates, friend of mine. I mean, we knew from childhood. He's studying at UCLA at the time, both doing MBA and law, JD MBA program. And they meet periodically for lunch in some restaurants. He comes from San Diego and comes. So one day, that particular day, he was telling, they were talking about it, and they said, Ari Gilbert. Ari said, "Oh, I'm doing a project for my school. It's just an MBA project, doing something to modify Pitney Bowes machine. Pitney Bow is they have this franking machine which prints, put stamps. I mean, this was developed 100 years ago and it's still happening. A lot of people do this. Oh, it is a machine. We instead of that, we want to come up with a dongle and put a dongle in a computer and we can. So he was just telling his research project. It's a modified Pitney Bow thing. Then Ajay was smart enough. He said, "You know what? I think you guys are doing something wrong. That won't work. Maybe you should talk to my dad. He has this new patent and he can do something interesting." So Ari came that night to my house in Westlake Village, and you've been there a number of times. So we talked that evening, and he said, "I know how to solve your problem. We can do it right away." And that day, we formed the company at my house. That
Wow.
that
Wow.
evening. That's how it started. I mean, I don't know if that story is told, but that's how it started. And then, of course, then the journey subsequently is much more difficult
Right. I
because
was going to say that's great. It started, but then, putting it together, triggering all the details, and then launching had to be
it's not launching alone. In order to do anything, you have to get a permission from because this product is a binary. Either it won't work. If it works, it has to be approved by the United States Postal Service, and they don't approve anything. I mean,
right.
this is printing money. I mean, it
Right.
is printing money by everybody, and it's without any control means it's impossible. I mean,
Right. Right.
stamps is. I mean, eventually, when I sold the company, it was printing close to $20 billion worth of stamps every
Wow.
year. So it
Wow.
grew from zero to that kind of a. I mean, the reason is, but of course, the journey to go through and get the approval uh, is a nightmare, but we accomplished because of
Yeah.
hard work. I always says you need to have confidence and you need to have perseverance and go with the full interest and go after your destination.
Well, it became a household name, stamps.com.
Yes,
Everybody knows
yes,
that. All the marketing the strategies that went to all the businesses, that it was a time saver for
yeah.
people.
It's a time saver. In addition to that, it's a easy convenience. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very very
Which is right. That's
true,
everything.
and you can print the stamp as much as you want. It's very easy, and there is no. And of course, Pitney Bowes tried to acquire us. We didn't sell. I mean, Pitney Bowes. We were significantly more valuable than Pitney Bowes, which is one of the oldest companies in America. But yeah, we sold our company for $6.7 billion. So
Nice.
it's one of the good
Yeah.
success.
So, I want to switch over to now, let's get into your mind, okay? Because you did all these great things, right? And so when you look at a lot of people, they're at different levels of their life. They could be at the growth level of starting up, the middle level of where to go next, or the top level of am I stuck? How do I scale? Right? So, what qualities did you believe are essential for leaders building companies that scale? What are the qualities they need to have?
I think the founders, I mean, of course, founders are not really that good in uh, executing as it grows because
Okay.
the founders are they wear all the hats together because you have to I mean, in any company, you need a CEO, you need a CFO, I mean, Chief Financial Officer, then you need a chief technology officer, you need a chief marketing officer, you need a chief legal officer. So you need a lot of functions as you start the company. Uh, you may not have enough resources to bring that kind of different
Right.
talented
I was going to say resources are going to be limited as
very
you're growing.
limited. So you wear all the hats,
Right.
and that founders that background is different, and they are innovative. They are very they take risk in certain areas and all kind of things you need. But
Right.
as you scale up and grow, you cannot do all those things, and you are not really, in my opinion, qualified to do all those things because you
Right.
want to bring in. specialist, meaning if a CEO has certain growth oriented capability. CFO controls the money. He has to be a financial cash flow, balance sheet. He has to have that, and also governance. If you are big, you need to work with SEC, you will work with outside. So there are certain talent pool you have to bring in, like marketing, chief marketing officer. You may be a good salesman, but the chief marketing officer has to be quite different from, the typical founder marketing. You need to have that, attract real customer acquisition, customer support. So the reason I'm saying is, as you grow, you bring the best talent you can find. That I always tell, the growth of a company is based on three things. One, team. The first is team, the right team.
Right.
Number two, your product, service, what you're doing. It has to be innovative, something people needs, something you can improve, something new, innovative.
Mhm.
Number three, adequate, sufficient capital. But capital will come. There are
Right.
investors ready. For me, for example, I raised, let me give you a little background. Initially, I couldn't get a penny because everybody said, until
Prove yourself. Yeah.
USPS approves, it's a black hole. I put
Right.
money, nothing will happen. In fact, there's some people, I used to go to Sand Hill Road in Silicon Valley, where all the venture capital people are.
Right.
So
Right.
they were all very nice to me. They said, Mohan, it's a great idea, but if without the USPS approving it, we can't give you. If it is you're coming for a new drug, okay,
Right.
we may fund you, even though the you know the drug and people have to approve it, but they have done it. That's what they do.
Right. Right.
But whereas in USPS, go back and look at a 100-year history, there are one or two, and the probability of getting the approval from USPS is close to zero. Not even
Wow.
so. We can't fund you, but that. But okay. So no funding. So I self-funded for some time, but then I have a friend. This is another a friend who is in the venture area. So some or other I went, and this is an interesting story. His name is Brad Jones. He was with Red Point, and at that time called Brentwood Ventures. The time I got, so I know him for prior relations. It's all relations. So I
Right.
went to see him, and Brad, I gave a thing, and I told the story. He said, Mohan, it's interesting, but it's a very high risk because USPS is not going to. How much money you want? I said, I need about 6 million. Then he said, I don't think I can get you that. But why don't I do? I can get you 2 million, provided you get 4 million somewhere else. I said, that sounds good. Anything is better for me. I
Right.
said, that's
Right.
fantastic. But why don't you give me a term sheet? So he went, and, it's a formal term sheet. Term sheets are how much the
Right.
pre-money value and all. There is a specific terms. Okay. So I got that. Then I was walking out of the door. Then I came back and said, Brad, I have a lot of people I can talk to, but do you have somebody you want me to talk to? Give me a couple of names. He said, sure. So he gave me two names, uh, Jeff Brown and Tom Clancy. Anyway, he gave the name. So I came home. Actually, his office is in Santa Monica. And I came back to Westlake Village. And right after I called the first name, Jeff Brown, I called the number and said, I don't know him at all, anything. But so happened he was on he took the phone. Taking phone itself is very difficult. But anyway, he took the phone. Then I told him, Brad asked me to talk to you. In fact, Brad told me, which is not true, but I kind of put it in that way. Before you talk to anybody, talk to Jeff. So I just want to make sure you get that information. And so I'm raising money, and he has committed 2 million. But I didn't say that he committed 2 million only if other 4 million comes in. I didn't,
Right. Of
I
course.
didn't tell him. which is relevant, but I did. So I said, then he asked, "Do you have a term sheet?" Oh yeah, sure I have. So can you fax that to me? So I immediately faxed it to him, and I told him, Jeff, you have to let me know soon because I have other people, but I didn't want to talk to them because he wanted me to talk to you. So you let me know. So within half an hour, he called me back and said, Mohan, I'm in.
Oh, that's nice.
So I have two plus, I mean for 2 million, 4 million. So I need another 2 million before I can close this deal. So the other person, his name is Tom Clancy, not the famous writer.
Right, right,
Tom Clancy, I called, he's in San Diego. So I called his office. He took the phone. So I said, I gave the story, this is, and now I have 4 million. But of course, before I talk to somebody, Brad asked me to talk to you, and I would love you to be participant. Said, okay, send me the, fax me the term sheet. So I send it to him. But please let me know this today because I have many people I've been in contact with. I want to. So he called me and said, I'm in. So I got the 6 million that day. Of course, you have to still go through all kind of legal paperwork before the money comes in.
right,
But
right,
but that money is in. But in within this, we don't have any revenue, no revenue, no approval. This is
right,
no approval, nothing. But we have 6 million commitment. Then we went through all the things and we got the preliminary approval from USPS. And as soon as that, we went for we still no product yet. It's all
right,
been the
right,
MVP type of, but nothing. But then we went for a $30 million capital raise. So
right,
I engaged Goldman Sachs to do the raising of 30 million. And of course, we have the big guys,
right.
Brunton Ventures, all these. And also I made a deal with Silicon Valley Bank in they were in the news recently. They went broke and all, but Silicon Valley Bank was and they gave a good like a 10 or 20 million dollar credit line for certain warrants. In fact, they made a lot of money from us. So
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm sure.
we are
I'm sure.
successful, but they did give me that credit line. So it's a very good thing to have. Once you have a credit line, you can use it, but you have to pay for it. There's a cost. But this is all a learning process for me. This is what I advise other people now.
Right,
But
right.
anyway, I got that Silicon Valley Bank.
So
Then I
it's interesting. Let me go right into this. So you
sure,
covered so much, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
you went through all the different things to execute, but the most thing I hear about you is you're looking at how to negotiate the strategies in order to enhance or invite in the money. And it's interesting that you had two phases of it. The first phase was I have nothing yet, I have no approval, and you brought in with your first phase of your money you needed because you had one person give you the opportunity that says, here, some other ideas. Then you go to the second phase when you get approval and you go, okay, now I have something. I have approval and I have the concept. And that's where you start bringing in the venture of money coming from higher levels.
correct,
And
correct,
but then you get to the point where you're now executing the whole program out.
correct,
You got everybody involved, right? And you bring these because you actually have a skill. You know how to find money. So and you know the resource people to find money. I mean, that's something that you did on your own. But today, in all the other ventures you do, you know this process.
correct,
You know how to bring it public. You know so many things. But it's funny because you wore so many hats first.
correct,
And I just want to say for everybody who's listening to this, all the hats you wore after you decided that's not your expertise in that one hat, you went and found a person who was best as that expertise in that because you had something of what I call valued contribution and success.
correct,
You had value success that people looked at you and said, this guy knows what he's doing. He's innovated these ideas. He's got a huge background and I believe in him. I will come in knowing I'm not going to make my money up front. I know I'm not good, but I want to work with him. And you had to negotiate that, and you actually had to bring those people into your in your tribe, your team. you know? And I think that's so huge because I see companies, I see businesses try to grow, and the problem is they do have to wear every hat, but then I think either the scarce of losing control stops them from bringing the best expertise in to and scale their business to such a higher level because they don't believe in themselves that people are going to believe in what they have.
Exactly. The thing is, in a company, there are two aspects of it. There is a board or a board of directors.
Right.
That's a
And you've been
then
on many of them, so
and then another group is the executive group, the
right,
actual running. That they have two different goals. The board is responsible for governance, security,
right,
compliance. Those that is their responsibility. Whereas the executive group growth, the actual the growth of the company is their job.
right,
I mean, of
right.
course, they have to report to the board because we have to comply all the regulation disclosures, all those things. So that's why you need to have the right team. The one belongs to the on the board part, and the governance part or the execution part has to
Mhm.
be that type of people. That's
Right.
why you have to bring in at the right time, right individuals who are knowledgeable, experienced, and good for that. Otherwise, if you think control, I want to do everything all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
probability of success is
That's
very.
that's where it stops, right? That's where, there's just two things that you're saying, the perseverance that you have,
Yeah.
the belief in yourself and what you're going to achieve, and the wanting to change. I mean, we don't have a lot of time, but you've changed your mindset. What I look at is your parallels, right? In between your innovation strategies. I look at your parallels with stamps.com in that era, which was not even existing at that time. And then I look at the parallels with today, where you're involved in so much like AI, how you look at blockchain and how you look at fintech. I mean, you look at things differently than most people look at it. But again, you've had a journey of that. You
Right.
know, your mind is always working to the future, and you're so many steps ahead of what you're thinking of in a steady today, which people don't understand. There's not that many people who can think like you because you've already have 25 steps ahead of the game before you even start the game because you're thinking about all the different pieces that would cause you the success that you need to have.
Yeah.
So
I think
I,
it's,
I'm
I don't want to say it's just anybody can do this, but
yeah,
they,
but not
they
anybody can do that. I don't believe that.
no, no,
I think
anybody can, meaning I didn't mean in that sense. People with that motivation and that innovative thinking, they should be able to. But I know a lot of very smart people. I mean, believe me, I work with like at a JPL or at Caltech or DOD. These are extremely smart people, but they're afraid to let the comfort go and take the challenges. So you need to have a risk taking
yeah,
that mentality as well. It's not because of just brilliance alone. Brilliance is important, but you also have to go in to try. If you
right.
don't try and take the risk, you cannot really be that successful. I mean, you're good what you're doing, but there are many people I know of that type.
Yeah, but your path, right? Your path not only has that perseverance, but there's a thing that besides your brilliance that other people have to match up to is, work ethics can sometimes beat brilliance. And there's some people who I know aren't the brightest people in the world, but man, they're successful as hell because their work ethics are so boom, 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 and they don't give up. They're just really driven to get to the success of this one goal they have, and they take it into milestones, and they want to beat milestones, and it's a huge factor, I think, in those. You have both those in you. And I want to throw something in because I know we're getting close. How's your journey impacted, because everybody goes through this, how's it impacted your family, especially in your next generation, because you have kids that I know are brilliant men and families, and you have grandkids that are exponential in their lives, moving across. And again, your son I know is very brilliant, but it starts from the top to
Yeah.
pass down that
I,
level. And remember, as
I,
kids, they only get so much. Then it passes down to the next level, and your
I
grandkids are
consider
very close to you.
I consider myself very lucky and privileged rather than, it's we have two boys, and one is older one is a neurosurgeon, very well known. In fact, he's probably does more DBS, deep brain stimulation surgeries, than anybody in the world. So he's very, very well known. He's very successful. He likes it. It's hard work being a neurosurgeon, meaning, when you open somebody's brain, that's the most stressful job you can
Yeah.
have. But he loves it. He enjoys it. Of course, there are sometimes under severe stress. That's what he does. He loves it. My second son is a very capable uh, litigation lawyer and is very successful. So both boys are well off. And the next generation,
Yes, that one.
we have, of course, they're a little smaller, but the oldest granddaughter, she just finished her law at Oxford University, and she's on the way to becoming a barrister, and she has a very, very interesting aspirations. So she's very good. And the next one is studying business and music at NYU. So I mean, the rest are a little smaller, but they are very aggressive, and I mean, they look at probably
Yeah.
us, meaning grandfather and grandmother, and of course parents and uncles, and they want to outdo them, so they are really working hard as well.
And it's amazing. I'm just gonna say this in my own world of knowing everybody in your families. You guys come from very humble places. Discussions are very contributing. Like Ajay, just he's no one knows how big his job is every day, and when you talk to him, it's like it's so matter of fact that that's what he's supposed to be doing, and it's so matter of fact as he's trying to think how to save lives, how to help people. It's interesting to talk to him just about the intricacies of what he's doing every day, and you go, wow, it's like it's not it's not something you go, yeah, so this is what I'm gonna, it's like, here's what I see I need to do here. Here's interesting what I found in this. And those discussions come, I didn't, I'm like, when I first met him, I'm like, where does that come from? Now I meet you and I go, oh, this is where it comes from. Because you guys compartmentalize that whole process of being with somebody. And that's probably why you gather so much venture capitalists and so much information from people because you're with them in that discussion of what your dream is and what you want to have happen. And it doesn't have to contribute to any certain thing. It's just how does it bring it back to the world of what you want? And I think that's one of the things that impressed me of people. I look at people, I watch them. I'm around a lot of different personalities all day long. And in my 35 years of what I do, and I was around all these different families, and I get really excited when I get to be a part of something that I go, wow, this is so amazing. And I like to sit down with you and I always like going, okay, what is up for you now? So, you know, what is next for Mohan
Okay,
Ananda?
I don't know how much time we have left, but
We have a couple minutes. So,
in a short way, of course, I want to
yeah,
pay
please
back
do.
to where, I mean, this is my country. Even though I'm born in India, I came to America. I lived here more than anywhere. I traveled all over the world. But whenever I come back to LAX airport, I feel like this is where I belong. I mean, that's my role has been not now for the last almost 20 plus years or more. I want to pay back. So we have a foundation called Ananda Foundation, and we contribute to and not a lot, but sufficient, and that's we're doing as much as we can to various type of kind of it's a charitable activity. And then we also have a charitable trust. It's actually named after my wife's parents in India, and we have that as a contribution. So we have multiple charitable entities and which we do. And I also work with Stanford has a seed program, and I do that's it's like a seed fellow. So I provide advice or mentoring and to various companies and things like that through the Stanford. So I, participate in paying back. But
So
at the same,
I always do this at the end.
I'm
I want
sorry.
to get a rapid fire question to you. I want quick answers. So if you could speak to a new immigrant arriving in the US today, what would you give them? What would you tell them?
I think you should go and do your passion. Whatever your passion is, go with it. Focus the
Right.
passion and go with it. Don't hesitate.
So another thing, one thing you believe now that you didn't believe when you started out.
Okay, of course, I never thought I would be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I was trying to solve problems of universe,
Right.
how the
Right.
universe was formed. That has nothing to do making money.
Right.
So I mean, I changed, I transformed the way you really contribute. That's interesting when you're, in fact, I tell you why I changed. Because if you look at the Nobel Prize winners, every Nobel Prize winner, their real contribution was when they were young,
Sure.
before 30 or 20 something. Every Nobel Prize winner has gone. So but our brain doesn't work that much when as you get older. But as you get older, you are more managing people or organizing. So that's the real transformation. I mean, I was interested in doing something Nobel Prize type, but I didn't do it. So I now transformed into an ordinary business person.
There you go. So what's your favorite book you read today?
I mean, I finished the book, but I started reading The Covenant of Water. This
Okay.
is a book by a person who actually is from born in Ethiopia, of Indian parents or parents from my state, Kerala, and Kerala's. But he is brought up and raised, and but went to India to study, or Madras to study in the medical. He's a physician at Stanford, is a very, very successful person. He has written a number of books, and this is one of them. And this is about Kerala water, the Malabar coast where I come from. So I mean, not because of that reason. It's an extremely interesting book. I recommend to everybody.
Awesome.
Abraham Verghese is his name, and the Covenant of Water is my one of my favorite books. I mean, I haven't finished it. I mean, a lot of people have read it a couple of times. It's a very good book.
So in one sentence, what does the American dream mean to you?
Success. I mean,
Period.
it's one word.
Yeah, I love it.